We are just shy of a third of the way through the season. The Arizona Coyotes have completed 25 games. What has impressed us? What has disappointed us? We will grade the Arizona Coyotes at this point in the season on today's episode of Lockdown Coyotes.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Robyn Leonio, Carl Pavlik right beside me on this wonderful now Wednesday. It is December 8th. What a day to get going here. Before we get anything further on this episode, I want to let you guys know that today's episode brought to you by Primal Origin Oils. Got beard? Get primal. Stop the itching. Get your beard look healthy and groomed. Check out primaloriginoils.com and learn about the full line of beard care products. Use the promo code LOCKEDON for a 20% discount at checkout. Okay, so let's get started on today's episode, Carl. So we're 25 games through the season, and the Arizona Coyotes have a few days off until their next game. And, instead of just rambling on about speculation of what they're going to do against, their next opponent, let's just go into a third way through the season review. They're, 31%? So it's just shy of a third way. But why not? We have time. We got the opportunity to do it now. 25 games in, too, so it's a nice, point to make any kind of review on this.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like 25 games is a nice, round number for reflection. And after a couple of tough losses, you have to imagine the Coyotes themselves are reflecting a lot this next couple days.
Exactly. That's and that's what you hope out of a team that's trying to figure out their. I wouldn't actually figure out their identity, but learn more, learn more about themselves. Still, I mean, this is still a rebuilding team, and still a lot of moving parts. It's still early in the season. Like I said, we're barely even a third of the way through the season. 25 games out of 82.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely like the last couple losses have not been great for the Coyotes, and I bring it up because Bear brought it up. The team maybe took a step back in the last couple games, and kind of we don't know what this team is because were they just overplaying before, or is this just a temporary setback? We don't know. But we can say where they've been, and that's definitely going to help this team figure out where they're going to go.
This review series will be a two-parter. This first part, we will just do the basics, forwards, defensemen, and goaltending. And then we'll go into the more nitty-gritty things of other things. And we'll give grades, and we will tell you exactly how we think each aspect of the Arizona Coyotes did. So let's get started, Carl. First, before we get anything going, so 5, 18, and 2 to start the season at 25 games in. For last place, of course. It's, yeah, I mean, at this point, it's not surprising.
Nope.
At all. We knew it. We knew what this team was going to be.
Yep. And honestly, I feel like this is kind of where I expected the team to be. Like the bad start was really horrible, but like the fact that the team couldn't string a win together, I do remember people being like, "Is the team going to finish without 10 wins?" And it's like, no, it's not going to be that bad. It's bad. It's just not that bad.
Right. So let's get started on an overall grade before we go straight into the forwards, and then we'll go like literally just the overall grade and then immediately the forwards, just to kind of give everyone a perspective of where we think things are. And I'm going to give the Coyotes a little bit of credit because they had a little bit of they've gone through some stretches where I've been impressed,
Yeah.
and because of that, it's still not going to be good, Carl. Give me a D plus.
I was actually going to go with a C. I may drop that to a C minus, but for now, C, just because I feel like the Coyotes are the team that I expected them to be. So like I can't say that they're overperforming or underperforming to expectations. They are meeting my expectations for what this team was going to be. There's been some rough stretches, there's been some good moments, and it's just like, yeah, this is all kind of, the roster that this team was built to be.
Absolutely. Let's start taking a look into each individual aspect now. Forwards, quite frank with you, Carl. Is among grades will be my worst, among the worst grades I give. This is the extremely low scoring team. They have rarely, been able to provide anything. And take a look at some of the games. They get severely outshot, and that's because the team just does not generate enough opportunities. So
Yep.
and I'll go straight off the bat before we go into any further on that. Forwards is D minus.
Yeah. I would go with a D as well, because everything you just said. This team is not generating offense, um, and even though we expected them to not be generating offense, they're doing it below what we were expecting them to be. I think that the Keller line is doing some stuff. They're getting like at least one a game, usually, but we haven't seen much more beyond that. Like, there's no real secondary support on any given night, and the secondary line or the second line, the Hayden line, it's not getting anything done, and we need someone to score.
Yeah, and I think it also goes into the fact that what was one thing that we were saying. So like Jay Beagle, for example, you were mentioning before we recorded. He obviously he went off for a little bit. He's only played 19 games, so it's like only 6 games less than the rest of the team, and well, most of the team, for I should say. But yeah, I didn't expect much from him at all as an asset to the Coyotes, but 0 points through 19 games. That's just, oh my, what?
Yeah, I think he was kind of like expected to win faceoffs and be a center. And let's be fair, the Coyotes have Galchenyuk centering the fourth line, so they could definitely use Beagle being back. Um, but like, yeah, I think everyone in the forward group's kind of underperforming. It does kind of make me excited to see Nick Schmaltz looking like he's getting ready to return soon, because I think that could be a definite shot in the arm. And kind of see, like, because he's going to be getting those top line minutes, so that's going to cause everyone to kind of like fall down behind him. That could, redistribute things. It'll be kind of interesting to see what happens with that.
Here's another thing I will go ahead and mention too. Forwards usually, yeah, I mean, like, obviously, plus minus is a terrible metric to really grade anybody on.
Hmm.
But when I take a look at the three players the Arizona Coyotes acquired in the Connor Garland, Oliver Ekman Larson trade, and again, I knew it wasn't going to be much because that was a cap dump and just getting, essentially, we got to give something to get something. That's what
Yeah.
it was. Because Roussel is a -10, Erickson is a -10, Beagle is a -12. Like, for forwards, those are also terrible numbers. I get it. Like
Yeah.
like
It is definitely like plus minus is one of those things where, like, in the extreme, I think it has a little bit more value, and yeah, it's not been good, um, and it's really just it's painful to watch sometimes. Like, just like the fact that this team cannot get offense going. They seem to have like a complete inability to get through the neutral zone or establish any kind of like offensive pressure. And part of that is also the defenseman. I don't want to just throw the forwards completely under the bus for the lack of play in the neutral zone, but if you don't have anyone skilled at bringing the puck through, they're going to be in trouble. And the Coyotes just unfortunately don't have anyone skilled enough to do that consistently. Like, there's a few people, but not enough apparently.
it was the biggest issue that we were talking about all off season long is the fact that this team doesn't have centers.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest issue. And I mean, it's going to continue to be the biggest issue for the Coyotes until they make some draft picks.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while because those players are gonna take some time to develop too. Um, who do you think has been the best forward so far?
The best forward so far. Um, ooh. Well, I mean, Clayton Keller obviously he's the points leader for the team.
Yeah,
Um, so he's been impressive, especially since I mean, he's been playing to somewhat the expectations given how much his contract is worth, right? He's still
yeah.
not playing to how much his contract is worth, but he's actually it looks like he's the closest there.
I would agree with that. I think Keller has taken like a big step forward this season and is playing some of his best hockey. He definitely needs to put together more. I still think there's a lot more that he could be doing, but for right now, I think he's the team's best forward, hands down.
Yeah, and also give some credit to Lawson Krause. He is 7 points back, but his presence on the ice, like when he's there.
Yeah, definitely. Um, and it's nice to see Kraus getting some goals. Like
I
he's
know,
got
right?
5 so far, which it's not that much. Like he's not on pace to hit 20. No one is at this point. But still, like after seeing him so snake bitten, it's nice to see him like score a few.
Absolutely. Any other final thoughts you have on forwards before we move on to defensemen?
Any other thoughts? Just kind of going through everyone. Uh, I do think that Barrett Hayden has been playing really well. I kind of hope he gets moved to wing though, to see if he can maybe deal with a little bit less responsibility, see if he can get his offensive numbers going.
Um, isn't
And I
that
think,
isn't that I think that some of that might be contingent on Nick Schmaltz returning from injury.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like we can get Schmaltz back from injury. He slots in top line. Drop Boyd down to the second line, so it's Kraus, Boyd, and Hayton. I think that could be fun.
Absolutely. So that is our review and grade for forwards. We're going to do defensemen coming up in just a sec. But before we get to that, a quick word from Carl.
Got beard? Get primal. You heard me right. Got beard? Get primal. If you or someone you care about has a beard, it needs to get primal. Maybe you're that guy who's never considered the benefits of treating your beard with product. Primal Origin oils will stop the itch and make your beard look healthy and groomed. Their goal is to help others look good and live healthier lives through the use of natural oils. The products are free from harmful synthetic ingredients and with low impact on our planet. Primal Origin Oils makes balms, oils, and whipped butter that are renowned as the best feel of beard products available. This is due to an exotic carrier blend with oils like raspberry seed, rosehip, and chia seed oil. All products are fair trade certified and handcrafted in the United States. The combo kits make great holiday gifts. If you're shopping for yourself, you'll be glad that you did. Now, most companies focus on the fragrance first, and that leads to a product that doesn't feel good on the skin. But Primal took a step back, focused on the ingredients first to ensure that the product feels great and still smells fantastic. We know that every company claims to have the best, but Primal Origin Oils challenges you to compare their ingredients and feel in your beard to those of other companies you've used. We promise that you'll see and feel the difference. Remember the promo code LOCKEDON to get 20% off at primaloriginoils.com. Use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for 20% off. That's primaloriginoils.com.
And this episode also brought to you by Built Bar. This holiday season, grab the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, or even better than the candy bar. That is Built Bar, filled with so much holiday goodness, rich with decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, but it's amazingly low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat. And it's high in protein. You get the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy. So many flavors you'll have a hard time choosing. Where you go with raspberry or mint brownie, cherry or double chocolate, cookies and cream, or peanut butter brownie, and the list goes on and on. Built Bar gives you the extra fuel you need to bust down those mall doors and battle all those holiday shoppers. Or if you're just standing endlessly in shopping lines, Built Bar can give you that something extra to keep you going. Yeah, so throw one in your jacket or your purse. You'll never know when you're gonna need it. Want to cozy up with something warm? Here's a holiday secret. Dip your Built Bar into a piping hot cup of cocoa, melt it a little bit, and give your beverage just a bit of that Built Bar flavor. Plus, you'll have a nice melty Built Bar to go with it. Be sure to have a couple napkins on hand. So if you guys go to built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15, you get 15% off your order. Once again, use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Okay, so now let's go to part two of this of many for for this. We're gonna get to obviously, at least just for this episode, at least. Let's talk defenseman, grading defenseman, and I guess to start things off, Carl, I will say like I would say like a C minus, maybe even because this team, I mean, the defense has not been great, but
Mm.
I also talked about this defense potentially being a silver lining, but I give them the C minus because they disappointed me too.
Yeah, I was gonna go the same C minus. I think they're better than the forwards. Defensively, the team is much better in that regards, I think. But they still have had quite a few issues. I think a big problem the Coyotes have been having recently is they're letting people just kind of like get posted up in front of the net. And there is definitely some things that the defenseman can be doing with that. I think we're seeing like a lot of good puck movement. Like I said before, I don't want to throw the forwards completely under the bus for the neutral zone play either. I think defensemen definitely play a part with that and not being able to get the puck in.
Well, let's put it this way: Jacob Chickerin is only at 7 points, in which we're talking about Chikrin because like before he was like, touted as I was like, oh, we always joke about, oh, it's Chick Norris, this guy's amazing.
Yeah.
He's only finally emerging from this season, 25 games in. Like, where was he?
Well, you talked about plus minus. Jacob Chikrin is currently sitting with a minus 29,
Yeah.
which is all right.
Mm.
So I think we we may have talked about this on the podcast. I've definitely talked about this with other people. Um, uh, there was a lot of pressure for the Coyotes to name Jacob Chikrin as captain going into the season, and I think right now we're proving that that was an extremely bad idea because
Hmm.
Jacob Chikrin has had to take some time adjusting to being the guy on this team defensively, and it has not been an easy transition for him. He was sheltered because I don't really care what you think. OEL was the team's best defenseman last season,
Yeah.
and he got the hardest minutes. He played against the top competition, and Chikrin was able to do basically what Gostisbehere is doing now. He's playing against the lower competition and he's racking up offense. But now Chikrin is the guy that you need on the ice for those tough minutes, and it's been a process of him adjusting. He's getting a whole new like defensive pairing when he like formerly was almost exclusively with Goligoski. Like it's been a rough start for Chikrin and it's been a rough start for the Coyotes blue line.
Yeah, it has been. Where because I think the other thing that sucks is the defense has seen a lot of up and downs. Obviously, the loss of Connor Timmins was huge. I mean, he didn't produce a lot in the what
6 games.
6 games that he played,
Yeah.
but obviously he was promising. He was not. Arizona Coyotes got him for a reason.
Yeah.
And that didn't really come to fruition. Gossip has been great. Yeah, I'll give them that, and I think that's why I give him C minus, not in the D range. And I'll even say another bright spot is Capo Bianco, who's had a pretty good presence for the minutes that he's given.
Yeah. Uh, I think Capo Bianco has been playing fine. I would like to see more. He is making a case for being a full-time NHLer. I just don't know how big a role that would be. But I think he's been fine. I do think that the team expected Timmins to kind of be a big part of this defensive core,
Mm-hmm.
and sure, he didn't look great in his 6 games, but it was 6 games with his new team, so like no one looked great in the first Coyotes 6 games.
If
So
he made it to the 25, imagine how like he probably could have been pretty decent, right?
I think so. Like I don't see the team playing Dyson Mayo over Connor Timmins. Like
No,
yeah, the what have you thought of Anton Strolman?
I think Strawman has been an important veteran piece to this defense. Like it's interesting because I think he's actually like one of the defensemen I think is kind of holding, like he's kind of like the glue, like not permanent glue. But he's holding it together. He's
Yeah,
he's keeping this defense intact, and I think I think he's one of the reasons why this defense hasn't had a complete and utter implosion.
I mean he is definitely the most like senior player on this team, like in terms of experience. And he seems to have had like a good like stabilizing veteran presence. I think you're right. Uh, it's weird because like most games I don't really notice him too much, which can be a good thing for a defenseman if they're
Yes,
not.
if you're a stay-at-home defenseman like Strawman is,
Yeah,
if you don't notice them, they're doing something good.
yeah.
Obviously, but at the same time, if you do notice them in a good like in a good way, like if you see some intense blocks, and that's a whole nother that's to an extreme. But if
Yeah,
you don't notice them, it's like, oh, like the no, he did, yeah, and like based off how this game went, yeah, he did a pretty good job.
yeah. It's like he clearly didn't mess up anything. I would have remembered if there was a major mess up. And there has been a few times where I'm like, Strauman
Well,
really blew that one. But
there has been there's been several times that the defense has done that several times where they've done so many mistakes on turning it over to the opposing team in their own attack zone. I'm like, what are you doing?
yeah,
What are you doing? And it's like, and it comes like 3-on-1 rushes. You're like, there's no way you can defend that.
yeah. The Coyotes have definitely had a lot of really stupid turnovers. And they sometimes make some passes near the net where I'm like, with your history of turnovers, I would not be making that pass because, like, all it takes is for someone to be in like the right position, and you better hope the goaltending is wide awake.
I think one of the examples of that was early on in the season when the game that Dyson Mayo made like
Uh,
he was like it looks like he was got a little too eager and then immediately just turned that puck over. And I think it wasn't even like a 3-on-1 or 2-on-1. I think it was a straight like 2-on-0. Like
yeah. What was the I th- I believe there was a turnover in the Vegas one that led um to the goal that was right out of the box, but I don't remember who it was. And I think it actually may have been Dezingle. So scratch that. But yeah, we've definitely seen some bad turnovers this season from defensemen, and it has been brutal. But we're also seeing them like kind of be a little bit more active because the team needs offense from somebody.
yep, and that's why Shane Gottspear has is tied with Clayton Keller as the leading point scorer. 4 goals, 13 assists for 17 points. So Gottspear has been as a pretty bright light. I've been impressed by him all season.
Absolutely. He would get my vote for current best Coyotes defenseman just because he's one of my favorite players to watch on the ice right now.
Absolutely, and we'll actually do a more in-depth review of Shane Gottspear in the next couple of weeks. When the holiday week comes, we'll probably have some time off, so we'll talk about that as well. That will be a little teaser for you guys for those who want to tune in a couple of weeks from now. But that is it for defensemen because we are running, short on time. We will talk goaltenders next in just a sec. But first, I want to tell you guys that BetOnline has you covered on all season for more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football season continues to march to the playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head to our new updated updated desktop or mobile website. Sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Okay, Carl, so now let's go to goaltenders. And I will be straight with you. Out of all the grades I'm going to give in this two-parter of reviews, with obviously the more coming, on tomorrow's episode, this is going to be my best grade. It's still not going to be high, but it's still going to be my best grade. I'm giving him C Verge C plus.
I was actually going to go B minus. I'm a little bit more positive on the Coyotes goaltending. Definitely is the best aspect of this team. It is the only thing that could win a game. Like the Coyotes forwards aren't going to, defensemen aren't going to.
Here's what and the only reason why I'm giving them that around that is I'm personally grading not off expectations. I'm grading off of overall performance. Of what if you compare it to the rest of the league, this is where they are. Because if you do it by expectations, obviously my personal expectations. If that's what I do, then my grades might look a little more skewed. Because my expectations were already really low. So I knew this team was already going to get in the C or D range. C and C plus and that's pretty good for the Coyotes. Given and again the goaltending is good. They've been fantastic. They've gone through stretches where they don't look good and they'll give up many stretches. Is it their fault? Not entirely, but at the same time, take a look what we were used to in the previous times, right? This team would like Darcy Kemper when he was around would not do that same thing.
Sure.
But that said, and another reason why the start wasn't also good too. Carter Hutton did not have had a terrible start of the season. Remelka kind of had to bail him out until Remelka started to dip down a little bit because he was, obviously he's young, and then that's when they bring in Wedgewood. So Wedgewood Remelka is a good tandem, but they're in terms of how they are in the rest of the NHL, they're just average.
No, I can't really dispute much of that. I will say mine was a little bit higher because, well, there's the recency of Remelka getting his first career shutout, a 1-0 game, which is truly the closest that you will get to a goaltender being able to win a game. But honestly, like Scott Wedgewood has a .915 save percentage, Remelka .906. Like, if you told me that the Coyotes were going to have two goaltenders who were above 900, yeah, like that's a low bar. But I mean,
all right, I guess that's to be fair. I love, poking fun at some teams who did not have the same. Like last year, did you follow much of the other teams' goaltending in the last year? Like, for example, like the San Jose Sharks. Have you see what theirs was? For example,
no.
Like I think, who their backup was I think it was still Aaron Dell. Yeah, I think it still was Aaron Dell, and it was like oh no, it was James. No, it was what's his name? Because from Minnesota, I forgot what his name was. Anyways, it was like .89 something, and Martin Jones. Dubnik, that's what it was. Yeah, Dubnik was like .89 or 88 something, and Martin 898, and like Martin Jones was like also like 87 something like that. It
was close .896.
.896. Yeah.
Guess who had the best one? This is fun.
The best for the
of the four Sharks starting goal of the four Sharks goaltenders, who had the best save percentage?
Was it? It wasn't Kojanash, was it?
It was
It
Kozhinosh,
was Kojanash.
0.899.
Wait,
Coyotes
so
took the
all
best.
four of their goaltenders had
Yes.
sub 900. See,
Yep.
so like, and this is and this is why I gave them C plus, because they're still above average, because 900 is average, right?
Yeah.
900 is average.
And I mean, like, honestly, Dubnik with the 898, that was in 17 games played. Um, 13 of them started, so clearly there was problems with San Jose's goaltending. But Remelka is at 15 games, 906. Like, just kind of think about that. If he could finish like just two more games and have a better save percentage in his first year in North American professional hockey, that's kind of insane. Uh, Unlike every other aspect of this team, and some of the ones that we're going to talk about tomorrow with special teams, the Coyotes' goaltending gives them a chance to win. Whether or not they blow that chance, and whether or not it's always there, no, it's not. But on any given thing, the thing that you can count on at least somewhat reliably is the Coyotes are going to get okay goaltending that's going to get no support for at least 40 minutes of the game.
Yeah. The one thing that isn't good to look at when you look at, I'm looking on the ESPN stats, and they list it as goals against per game rather than goals against average, which is
Yeah.
interesting that they put it that way. Remelka is 3.13. Scott Wedgewood is 2.89, which isn't great. But again, we're talking. This is we're talking Coyote standards here, and I'm also putting again. I'm saying they're still around average,
Yeah.
which is better than that they have that versus like Carter Hutton, for example. I mean, he only had 3 games.
Yeah.
But you know what that goals against average was in those 3 games?
I mean, I'm looking at it, but tell the people listening.
7.76.
That's just it's
Like,
bad.
oh, what?
I don't know how that's possible. I kind of
Like,
he needs to come back just so he could get like a better goals against average. Like I feel bad for him. Like he needs a redemption game
yeah.
because he was hung out to dry. Let's be honest, the team did not play well in front of him.
Oh, those first few games for the Arizona Coyotes were absolutely terrible. That first 10 games
The
were
Coyotes should have been like allowed double preseason just to give everyone a chance to develop
but
chemistry.
but you know what? Let's be real here. Undefeated in the preseason.
For all the good it did him.
Actually, they weren't undefeated. They only lost 1 in the preseason.
Yeah.
But still,
Close to undefeated in the preseason. The
close to
games don't
undefeated.
matter anyways.
To us, they do. To us, they do. But again, I gave them the C to C plus range because to the Coyotes, they are the best, the brightest aspect, but still to the NHL standards, they're average and just okay.
Yeah. All right, now pick one. Wedgewood or Remelka?
Ooh, um, Wedgewood.
um,
I'm going Wedgewood.
I'm going Wedgewood too. I think his NHL experience is just kind of a little bit more of a stabilizing
It's
force
because
than Remelka.
it really is hard to give a true grade to Remelka just because he's young, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's his first year in the National Hockey League.
Again, in North America,
Yeah.
because he only played like in a lower Czech league, which is just phenomenal to me sometimes.
So like, I'm giving Remelka a lot of credit for making that jump over the NHL and doing pretty well for through the 15 games that he played. But it's like also like Um, Wedgewood is the more experienced, and if I had to start a goaltender against if I wanted to make sure the Coyotes would win a game, like I would put in Wedgewood because he gives them the best shot.
Yeah, I agree. I think Remelka has done enough that we are going to be talking about him a lot more as the season comes to an end. I think he's got a spot in the Coyotes' future potentially,
Hmm.
or he'll be really good trade fodder. One of those two.
Down the road, I think a Vemelka Prosvetov duo would be pretty fun.
I think so. I think that'd be pretty interesting to watch because he is really kind of like adhered himself to me. Like I'm like, oh, the guy came out of nowhere. He's been playing really good. Let's keep him with the franchise. See what happens.
Exactly. But that's going to do it for that bit. Just to give you a teaser for what's coming up later this week, we are going to continue our review series for being about a third of the way through the season. Tomorrow, we will discuss more of the nitty gritty things of it. We'll talk special teams, we'll talk coaching, and we'll get more into all stuff like that. So be sure to tune into tomorrow as we find out our more expanded grades for the Arizona Coyotes 25 games into the season. But that's going to do it for today's episode. Hope you guys like what you heard. If you did, don't forget to leave a review, like, comment, subscribe if you get to already. We're available everywhere you get your podcast, including on YouTube. Also, don't forget to interact with us on social media. We're found on Facebook, facebook.com/Locked Coyotes, on Twitter at LO_Coyotes. I am personally at Robyn_Leano. That's Robyn with the Y_LEANO. Carl Pavlik is at Carl Pavlik FFH. You can interact with us, ask the question you might have, and we can answer right back, or on a future episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to today's episode. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy. And don't forget to howl on.